What is the resistance? The resistance is a general name for the traditional Catholics who follow four bishops, the first of whom is Bishop Richard Williamson. The sacraments of the resistance are the only sacraments a good Catholic can attend. In this video, we will explain why this is and why you should change what you are doing in terms of religion and join us. There is a crisis in the Catholic Church, a crisis not just of morality, but most importantly of doctrine. Since Vatican II, wicked people have infiltrated clergy and turned the Pope and bishops away from the perennial teaching our Lord has given us. A good Catholic who looks on at this spectacle should be sad and bewildered. The question for this Catholic is how to respond. A Catholic must not only accept the doctrine of the Church, but must also practice his religion as best as he can in the circumstances he finds himself. True Catholics will always be in existence until the end of time, not just lay people, but bishops. This is what is meant when our Lord promised that His Church would last until the end of time. The bishops still around today are the bishops of the resistance. These are Bishop Richard Williamson, Bishop Michael Four, Bishop Thomas Aquinas, and Bishop Gerald Zendejas. Why are these the only true Catholic bishops? The short answer is that these bishops who are maintaining the full teaching of the Catholic Church with all its sacraments and public manifestations. Vatican II has created a new religion, a new church, with new sacraments and a new doctrine. The Pope is both the head of this new religion and the true Pope. He must be excommunicated formally by his fellow bishops in order to cease to be Pope. But until that time, he remains the Pope, leading another strange new religion. However, the conscience of a good Catholic requires him to stay away from false religions. Here he must separate himself from this new religion, which acknowledging the simple material fact that the Pope and bishops still hold the office, and follow the true Catholic religion until the end of his life, passing it on to his children and anyone else he knows. To do this, though, he requires the sacraments. He needs to seek out clergy who provide these sacraments who are not involved in any way with this new religion, even if they say the traditional Mass. This is why a good Catholic cannot in conscience attend any so-called traditional groups such as the SSPX, the Fraternity of St. Peter, the Institute of Christ the King, and so on, who submit themselves to the Pope. They are on one hand preaching Catholicism and on the other hand stabbing our Lord in the back by working with his enemies. They are part and parcel of the new religion by virtue of their obedience to it. The Church has forbidden attending the sacraments of the schismatic Orthodox. But at the same time, the Church has always recognized their sacraments as being valid. Validity is not enough. One must preach the full doctrine of the Church publicly and not be associated with error in any way. These groups are not the only that say the traditional Mass. Another group are called the Sedevacantists. These are Catholics who, while rejecting the conciliar church and all its hearsay, maintain that the current Pope is not the Pope. They either say that there is not a Pope in the office or elect their own one. These groups, while well-meaning, are in error, a theological opinion which they are entitled to have, but which leads to very serious consequences for the future of the Church. In addition to this, many of them have sacraments whose validity is doubtful because of one of their bishops withheld his intention to consecrate validly. If you want to know more about this, a recommended book is Contra Seccatum by Father Francis Chazal. In it, he explains how the majority of the theologians agree that a pope must be excommunicated in a formal process before ceasing to be pope. So where does all this lead us? It means that if you have no resistance Mass close by to you, then you are not obligated to attend Mass. But you are obliged to keep the Sabbath holy. Means to do this include praying the Rosary, visiting a holy site, spiritual reading, and so on. If you need to find out where the nearest resistance Mass is, you can contact us at flatearthtrads@gmail.com. Or check out the forum cathinfo.com. It is important to always remember that God will always give us sufficient grace to save our souls. We just have to make frequent acts of hope. If we stay away from modernist sacraments and influence, we are doing the right thing before God, and He will not fail to reward us.